Hello, Professor William Watkin here. I want to talk to you today about trolling. Now, you may not have noticed it, but this week may go down in the history of trolling as the most momentous week so far in the development of this dark art. Why so? Well, first of all, over the weekend, Donald Trump reported on a fake terror attack in Sweden. And what was interesting was the way that King Troll himself, Donald Trump, suffered a pushback on behalf of other trollers online using ironic Swedish memes, mainly involving IKEA, sort of speaking about the terrible aftermath of the fake news Swedish terror attacks. At the same time as this was going on, there was a sort of Twitter storm developing, or Twitter spat, between Piers Morgan and J.K. Rowling, who are both themselves quite prominent trolls on Twitter for the two different sides of their political agenda. It seemed to start with J.K. Rowling sharing a video of Piers Morgan being roundly humiliated and attacked at the hands of an Australian comedian on TV. And this led to a kind of argument between the two of them. The argument ended with Piers Morgan offline, suggesting that he had never read a Harry Potter book. This led to the trolling of Piers Morgan's Twitter account by the owner of a North London bookshop called Big Green Bookshop. He decided that as the only thing that Piers Morgan appeared to read was Twitter, his own Twitter feed, he was going to systematically tweet every single sentence of the first Harry Potter book to Piers Morgan until he'd read the whole thing. This became a thing on the net. It became a meme immediately as people from the liberal left, in particular those who hate Piers Morgan's trolling, which is quite prominent, to sort of share this, and it became a worldwide phenomenon. It's estimated, by the way, that it would take about 800 days to systematically tweet the whole of the first Harry Potter book. This way of trolling is interesting, as it kind of trolling as a form of work of art. The owner of the Big Green Bookshop has turned trolling into a kind of durational artwork, the kind that you might see in galleries authored by somebody like Marina Abramovic, where he's actually seems to be experimenting in how long you can sustain one single troll to make a point. This got me thinking about the possibilities of trolling, not just as a kind of liberal pushback against outright trolling, but also the elevation of trolling into something that is a kind of positive form of sacktivism, an almost artistic form of sacktivism. This important week in the history of trolling sort of came to a conclusion just a couple of days later with the announcement that another king troll of the alt-right, Milo Yiannopolous, lost a $250,000 book deal this week because of inappropriate comments he made about paedophilia in a podcast actually a year ago. He then was subsequently dropped from his role as editor at Breitbart. For those of you who don't know what it is, Breitbart is an outright news source. Previously, its executive editor was Steve Bannon. Yes, the same Steve Bannon who is now the right-hand man and chief white supremacist influencer of the Trump administration. Yiannopolous is a self-confessed troll. His trolls are vituperative and vile and bitter and unpleasant. He's a troll who has actually transcended trolling. He's trolled so aggressively that the land of trolls, Twitter, has banned him forever from their platform. In that sense, then, he's a troll who has transcended trolling. He has gone beyond trolling. He has now pushed this so far that, of course, he has transcended all platforms, including Breitbart. He's a troll so vicious that there is no platform now willing to take on board his trolling. And yet, of course, the more vicious and unpleasant his trolling has become, the more famous he's become. And I guess he has never been more famous than this week, where he's all over the news. Yiannopolous' star was an ascendancy. Aside from Donald Trump, I think he was probably the most significant, intelligent and dangerous troller in the world. Trump obviously recognised in Yiannopolous his trolling potential, and first Steve Bannon nurtured Yiannopolous by hiring him for Breitbart, and since then Trump and Bannon and others have championed Yiannopolous as a kind of warrior for freedom of speech, which is Trump speak for making offensive comments about feminism, Muslims, about the left in general, liberal agenda, political correctness, and so on and so forth. Yiannopolous, therefore, was tipped for the top until his dramatic fall from grace. But I don't think it's the last we've seen of Yiannopolous, because it is not the last we've seen of the dark arts of trolling. And Yiannopolous was probably a master of that, second only to Donald Trump. Yiannopolous was an archetypal meme weaver, or if you prefer, a trollster. What are meme weavers and trollsters? Well, if you think about the relationship between politicians and the media in the past 20 years or so, it was kind of dominated by spin doctors and pollsters. I think these figures have been replaced quite rapidly by what I call meme weavers. Meme weavers are people who manipulate memes on social media. Sometimes it's called meme warfare, to gain traction on the political landscape. And then, of course, pollsters have been replaced by trollsters. A trollster is someone who basically trolls the net. In this particular case with Yiannopolous and with Trump, from an outright agenda, in an attempt to poison and manipulate and alter the political atmosphere and agenda, and to gain greater power through election or through media coverage, through using aggressive trolling techniques rather than the more recognised and mainstream political techniques of spin doctoring and polling and evidence-based governance, which we've been used to of late. The dark arts of meme weaving and trollsters are ones that we're only just beginning to understand, and whilst we might despise the message of Trump and certainly despise the message of Yiannopolous, we have to respect them and pay attention to them, because they are masters of this dark art. And until the left, I think, become masters of this dark art and understand how to be meme weavers and trollsters themselves, I think they're going to be permanently marginalised in political life in the coming years. As I said then, the pushback of the Swedememers, the transformation of trolling into a kind of durational performance art, and then finally the fall and possibly potential later rise of one of the king trolls in the world today, Milo Yiannopolous, means that this has really been a very, very significant week for trolling. So I suppose the inevitable question is, but William, you're a professor, what the hell is trolling?